I know it's so annoying that you have to do it that
I
way.
know.
But okay.
Okay, for those of y'all that don't know Emily, golly, when did we even meet? I guess at your house. So Emily's upline and I have known each other for 20 years. Um, Funny that we are not on the same team, doesn't matter. But I met Emily, I guess through Tiff. Whoops, that was me
Mhm.
saying start masterclass. Um, and so we met a long time ago, but we've just stayed friends. And if you've been around Emily at all, she's infectious. She's an incredible trainer because she's a learner and she loves to teach. She's a teacher by nature. She has two incredible boys. She has a husband. And what's funny is I've actually spent time with Dan at his old office when he was here at his architecture office. I got to see all of that. He built these incredible townhomes in Dallas and was essentially like building them. And he was like, yeah, I'm kind of done. Like, this is my last hurrah, and then I'm out. And around that time, they decided they were going to move to Kansas City and leave all of us with our traffic here in the Metroplex. But yeah, so one of the themes that y'all will see on these master classes and that you've seen for the last few weeks is that we're not all on the same team, but we truly cherish each other and want big things for each other. Emily is a 4-star diamond, so that's a new it's not even a rank, it's just a way to really explain someone's business. So Emily has at least 4 legs holding jewel, which speaks to width of business and being able to develop different types of people. I think that's one thing that's really key when you see someone that's developed different legs of jewels is they have developed different personality types, different introverts and extroverts, people that came in saying there's no way I can do sales, people that were like gung-ho about sales and needed to develop personal skills. And so I think when we talk about 4-star diamond, or if you see that coming up more and more over the next couple of years, you'll just see that it's people that have developed different teams and helped those teams grow. So I just want to, I love Emily. I love Dan too. Honestly, if we could have both of you on the call, I would be thrilled. They're just a power couple that balance each other so well. And I think having the support of Dan has helped her actually be able to grow this business. Cause when y'all show up at an event, everyone's like, Emily's here, Dan's here. And it's like, there's like a good love of both of y'all, which just hopefully speaks well of just, your marriage and what God's done in your life. So I'm going to turn it over to Em. As Beck said, we love getting trained by her and just sitting under the tutelage of someone that's willing to learn, willing to make mistakes, brush themselves off and say, oh, I learned big from that. Let me show you what I learned. So Emily, I'm going to let you take it away.
Oh, sweet. Thanks. I love that you talked about Dan. And just to give you the update on Dan after he left his architecture firm that was eating his soul, as much as it looked like he was building pretty houses, he was really struggling mentally, just exhausted. So he is now a watercolor artist and he loves his life. And he is the happiest version of my husband that I have ever experienced since even before we were dating. And it's 100% because of Plexus. So that's just another little story about how Plexus can change lives. His story is a big one. So this is the thing. I love to teach and I love to train and I love to hear myself talk. But what I've noticed lately is that people have so much ability to find trainings. What we really need right now is like workshop style, like it needs to come from within. Like I want you guys to unpack some stuff today. So I would love for you to get something to write with. Actually, hold on. I think that's on my PowerPoint. You guys, I'm such a nerd with my PowerPoints. Buckle up. Okay. Okay. So my intentions. So this is workshop style. So I really want you guys to get something to write with if you don't already have something. I really want you to take some time to process what we're going to go over today. Okay. And my goal is that you leave this training with a new lens. Like I actually want you to look at the world differently after we experience this together. Okay. So we're going to start with an activity. I want you to picture your dream ambassador. Like this can be somebody that's actually on your team, has been on your team, or a dream teamer or whatever. But I want you to picture this dream ambassador. It can be an imaginary one, by the way. And then I want you to spend 1 minute. I'm going to give you 1 minute to make a list of their qualities. What does this dream ambassador bring to the table? So go ahead and write that. 1 minute. Okay, about 10 more seconds. Okay, why don't you guys put maybe one thing that you thought of in the chat? Just one of the things on your list. Pop it in the chat. Optimistic, self-driven, self-motivated, okay with failing. Good. Chrissy, I like that one. Passionate about helping others, positive, joyful, organized, self-motivated, business-minded. Okay, now here's the trick. Are you guys ready for this? Next step, I want you to circle all of the ones that you personally possess. So look at that list, circle everything that you personally possess. Okay. Now I want you to ask yourself this question and be really honest, because you might be in different seasons of your business right now, but I really want you to ask yourself, would you want a team of you? Would you want a whole team of you? Some of you, that question is going to be like a little heavy to answer. Some of you are going to be like, yeah. So that's where we're going to start. And then I want to tell you guys my story. This is a true picture of me in 2015. This is like when Andrea and I actually just first met. And I was a teacher. This is in my classroom. I had huge dreams with Plexus. I was like all in. I really wanted to be a diamond. I saw myself as a diamond. The only piece that was missing was a whole team of people that were working and that were those dream ambassadors, right? And I just really, really remember like having this thought. My truth at that time was, when I find these people, then I will be diamond, right? So my job was to find these people. And then do you guys remember back in the day, we used to have training calls that you would listen to, like before Zooms and all of that. And I listened to a training call where Tamara Holloway said, stop looking for a rock star. And I feel like I was like, oh my God, is she talking to me? Like, she has to, like, how did she know? And she said, stop looking for one and become a rock star. And it was like this aha moment where it was like, this isn't about finding these people that were going to make me diamond. It was about me becoming the person that would make me a diamond, right? What I didn't understand at that time was the John Maxwell, the law of magnetism. And that's really what we're going to be talking about today, is you becoming what you want to attract and how to do that. So let's take a little minute or a moment to reflect on this. And I want you guys to journal. And then at the end, we're going to like get off the PowerPoint and just kind of chat about what comes up here. So how do you feel about what you didn't circle on your list? I want you to really journal about these two questions. What's holding you back from possessing those qualities? So I'm going to give you guys another minute to write down some answers, and we'll discuss in a little bit. Okay, 10 more seconds. Okay. And if you didn't finish everything you want to write, that's okay. You can circle back around and do it. And like I said, we'll be discussing this. So this is the truth. Your identity is simply what you think and believe about yourself. And that is going to impact the way that you show up. And I know that you guys are well versed in this concept, because I know, because you guys were Kristen Boss, right? You guys Andrea, didn't you do Kristen Boss? Yeah, I feel like she's all about this, right? So I'm going to tell you guys a little bit of my story. Just recently, I went through a family situation that kind of pulled me away from my business, right? It was a season of really having to take care of my mother after a stroke. And I wasn't showing up the way that I wanted to. And I just needed to take a knee with Plexus for a little bit, right? But then when I came back, I really was just in this like dark headspace where I started to make these beliefs about myself that were not serving. So one of them was that I'm not really a good leader. I also was thinking I'm not a good listener. Like I said, I love to talk and I love to hear myself talk. And I was really self-conscious. I like Andrea said, I love to learn and I take a lot of time inputting fantastic books and learning from experts. And one thing that I heard over and over was the importance of listening and becoming curious instead of talking all the time. And I became really self-conscious and I created this belief that I'm just simply not a good listener. I also felt like a lot of my jewels were kind of doing their own thing. And when I tried to, I didn't really know what value I added. So I created this belief that I don't add value. And then when I did throw things out there, I was like, oh, they probably just don't even get me. I'm so weird. Like I'm Enneagram 4. Like that's part of like, people always think I'm weird. So that was one of my thoughts. And this one really hurt too. They think what I have to share is lame. Like they've already heard it. They don't know, they don't need to hear it from me, all that kind of stuff. So I want you guys to think about, how do you think I was showing up with that list of beliefs about myself? Put in the chat. What do you guys think I was doing in my business? Yes, lots of self-questioning. I was not showing up, not setting myself up to be successful, or setting myself up to be not success, up to not be successful. Yes, Kim, shutting down, not moving forward. Totally. Very timidly. Yes, Jill, you guys, I literally would shoot down all of my own ideas. So I am super creative. I love being creative and I would show up. I would have these ideas. I love to look at my business and say, okay, where are the problems? I like do a T-chart on a page. What problems am I seeing? And then on the other side, create solutions for those problems. And I was still at this time doing the same activities. Like I would do that activity, but then when I looked on my list of solutions, I would be like, that's lame. This is dumb. They're not going to get this. Like I literally shot down all of my own ideas. And then when I was doing that, I wasn't showing up at all. So how did I change is the question, because some of you might be identifying with some of the things I just shared. So I want to tell you about how I shifted and changed. Number one, it's having awareness. Number two is the desire to change. You can have awareness and not pair that with desire. So you really need both of those. The third is I really had to fully believe that I could change. And then fourth, and that's what we are starting to do, that's how we started this whole call, was getting clarity about who I wanted to be. Okay? So awareness, desire to change, belief that I could change, and then clarity about who I wanted to be. So now we're going to do a quick activity. And I love this activity, you guys. I do this often, actually. I want you to picture yourself sitting down to coffee with yourself as a jewel or as a diamond or whatever, if you're already a jewel. This future version of yourself. And I'm going to give you a list of questions. I'm going to read them off real quick. And then I'm going to give you guys like 3 minutes to answer these questions. Okay. So here's the questions I want you to answer. How does she show up in her business? What is she creating right now for her team? What does she look like? What emotions does she feel? How is her marriage? How is she showing up as a mother if you have children? What are her daily habits? And how does she make others feel in her presence? And then what is she wearing? So I want you guys to just sit down and answer these questions. I'm going to give 3 minutes on the timer. Okay, about 10 more seconds. Okay, and again, just like any of these, if you want to come back around after and spend a little bit more time journaling about this, it is one of my favorite activities to do because it gives me such clarity on knowing the direction that I feel like God's calling me to go in. But I have to sit down and take the time to reflect in this way to feel that drive. Does that make sense? And that presence. Okay, so what I had to do during this time where I was transitioning from these beliefs that were holding me back into the beliefs that I hold true now, I really created a very consistent prayer and meditation time that was daily, that became non-negotiable. I really spent time journaling and really becoming clear on who I wanted to be. So instead of believing all of these negative truths, it was like, okay, that's not helpful. So who do I want to be? And I got a lot of clarity around that. And then I did a lot of thought work, which again, I'm sure you guys have been exposed to. And I did a lot of those shifting thoughts. Coaching, I highly recommend coaching, even if it's with your upline or whatever. Just having someone there to bounce ideas off of and have a lot of like the reflective listening versus somebody just preaching at you and telling you what to do. I also I really made some shifts in my own routines and habits in my life. Got really consistent with exercise. And I leaned into Henry Cloud's work with Corner 4 communication. I'm sure you guys have heard of Henry Cloud and his book, The Power of the Other. I dove back into that. I had read it years ago and done a training, but I really started holding myself accountable to having the hard conversations. And you guys, oh my gosh, it's one of those things where once you do it, you realize how incredibly fruitful it is. And I had been holding myself back for years because I was terrified of these conversations. And now I like crave them. I'm like, oh my God, let's do this. Like, let's just I hash it out. I love to clear the air. I love these conversations now because I see the value. And then creating new beliefs by really just repeating these new thoughts. This new identity was made by me creating these beliefs, because a belief is just a thought you keep thinking. Back to the healthier communication right now on Audible. Who are you guys Audible fans? Anybody here? I'm obsessed with Audible. If you go, there's like a free Audible, you can click on the free ones. There's one right now that I'm obsessed with that's called How to Build Meaningful Relationships Through Conversation. And it's actually like a 10 piece like course. Like it's this woman kind of teaching. It's like a lecture series, but it is so good if you're one of those that struggle with the hard conversations like I did. So anyway, healthier communication was a big one. So then I shifted. These became my new thoughts. Are you ready for this? Oh, wait, no, this is how I shifted them. So first I had my negative thought. I had the awareness around it. And I love, what's his name? Rob Dial says, you can't read the label from inside the jar. Can't read the label from inside the jar, meaning when you're in it, you can't actually see what's happening. So pulling yourself out of it a little bit, one activity I use for that is I think about if somebody else were telling me this scenario, how I would look at it from an outside perspective instead of being so in it. Does that make sense? So bringing in that awareness piece that way. And then you guys, when you have awareness, shame just like bolts to it, right? So having the awareness and then knowing shame is going to come up and having a game plan for that. So I teach my team these magic words that are, of course. When you are repelling shame, you're just going to start with, of course you're feeling that way. Of course you're thinking that. When you say, of course, it shifts you into compassion for yourself. Okay. Don't beat yourself up. It's not helpful. So, and then I created the new thought. And a lot of times what I'll do is I will think forward to that the version of you that you just had coffee with in your imagination. What would she be thinking? So I have this like vision of who she is and how she's thinking about the situation. And that's what helps me create my new thought. So that's kind of like a quick three-step process to shifting those thoughts that might be different from one you've heard in the past. But so these were my new thoughts. First of all, I have so much to offer you guys. I have so many ideas and I'm super creative. And then people see my heart and they know how much I love them. I'm a wise leader. My team respects me. We're creating a team culture of love and connection. They totally get me and they appreciate, and they are so appreciative of what I share. I'm a good listener and a gifted coach and trainer. So when I believe these things, then I show up with confidence and I'm in flow with all these new ideas and the growth that's happening. So when I'm standing in these truths, do you guys see the kind of people that I'm attracting? Right? Because going back to that law of magnetism, when you are standing in your truth, the way God made you, and you're owning that, you become magnetic for those that are also in that same space. Those are the people that you want to be doing this business with. So I love this quote. We're going to kind of wrap it up with this quote, and then I want to chat about what came up for you guys. You don't get what you want, you get who you are. So getting really, really clear about who you are and how you want to shift and change that if you need to. Okay, I'm going to stop the share. What do you guys think? Should I make you the host again or does it matter? Okay. All right, I really would love for you guys to tell me something that came up for you when you did this. So either put it in the chat or unmute yourselves. Tell me what came up for you. What did you say, Andrea? Talk? What does that mean? Oh, you talk too much?
No, I want them to talk. I do talk too
I want
much.
them to talk. I was like, you
waiting
talk
to
too
not-
much?
I was waiting to not be first, Andrea, but it doesn't look like that's going to
Get
happen.
it, Jill, get it.
For me, the thing that came up was journaling about the person that I want to be. So I do a lot of journaling. I do a lot of like the thought work of, you know, what would my higher self say or how would they handle that? But taking the intentional time to journal about the person I want to be and the characteristics of that person was really powerful for me. So I'm excited to start that.
You want to know a fun thing that I do, you guys? I do this like embarrassingly often. I will sit at my computer and I will write a random date, like September 21st, 2027. And then I will do the math and see, and I'll write at the top how old Dan is, how old I am, how old Everett is, how old Trevor is. And then I just literally wake up that morning. What am I doing September 27th, 2026? Like, and I literally type out the day. And it gives me so much clarity around like, where am I going? The direction I'm going right now. Anyway, it's such a fun activity. And sometimes Dan and I will do that. We'll both do the same date and then we'll come together, like we'll have a date lunch and like he'll read his and you know what always comes up every time? Every time. Oh my gosh, we don't have much time with our children. Like it really brings a lot of like presence and appreciation for every moment with the kids whenever we do that. But it also helps us see and vision where we're going with our businesses. Okay, so people are writing in the chat too. More confident. They'll have a lot of negative thoughts. Don't we all? We need to also release the shame around that. Like that is part of being a human. We have our brain defaults to negative thoughts. Yes, Caitlin, that is huge. You guys, what I'm finding is a lot of people are understanding thought work and they're doing it, but they're not taking the time to sit down and reflect and journal. Raise your hand if you're a journaler. Are you guys journalers? Anybody? Okay, good. Becky and Rhonda, what benefits do you guys see from journaling?
I see the bigger picture when I put it down. And the neat thing is, and I don't journal every day, but I'm trying to get better at that. I tried to put down my 5 dreams or 5 wishes each day, and then I reflect on that in the evening, but I don't always get those 2 in. But I go back and see all the things I've accomplished because I wrote it down. That is what's cool to me. And I've got chills, Emily, because I just got off a call with Brooke Hemingway on dreaming big. And it's just so, this is another God wink. I have had God winks for weeks. He is just speaking to me so deep that this just blows my mind that you're on the same page. You're exactly telling me what I need to hear. But he has to tell me 3 times usually. And you're my 3rd person. So here we go.
There we go. Oh my gosh, how great is that?
Thank
I
you.
actually just did this. I posted on my Facebook page, like, I don't know, maybe a couple weeks ago, about negative thoughts and the power, you know, how that really can impact the way that you show up. Something, I don't even remember what the post was, but all these people commenting about how they struggle with negative thoughts and overthinking. That's what it was about. And so I went live and I shared this tip that I just love. And I love this idea with journaling. When you are in elementary school and you get a math word problem, if you were to write down a number as the answer, Do you remember what the teacher would say? Yes, Kim said it. Show your work. You have to show your work, right? But here we go as adults. We have all of these problems in our heads and we don't show our work. So journaling really is a way to show your work. Because when I get out of here and onto paper, I get such clarity. I'm like, oh my gosh, of course this is showing up this way. Of course this is happening because this is probably what they're thinking. Like it gives me all this clarity. I also feel like God kind of speaks to me through getting it out on paper. Rhonda, thank you for sharing. I love that.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And my little bit of my backstory is I was raised in a very negative environment. So it has taken me years and years and years to change a negative to a positive. I still, every once in a while, the devil come in and make me feel as little as my mom made me feel. However, I dismiss that and say, not today, Satan, not today. And I move on and find a positive out of it. So I think we all are a work in progress as long as we're willing to put in the work to progress, to get out of that comfort zone. So thank you.
But that's what it is. It's, are we willing to put the time and effort and the work in? I find that a lot of people are so all in on the business side and they're focused on the winning day and the IPA, which is, you need all of those things. But this reflective piece seems to go on the back burner because they just don't see the value in it. And it's like, if people understood that reflective piece and spending that time on the word problems would make you so much more, make that winning day more impactful because of the way that you're showing up, the shifts and changes in that. So good. Okay. So when you guys look through your list of the things that you maybe didn't circle, what came up when you did that? And you, I had you write like why you think you're not possessing those things. Does anybody want to share what came up when they did that?
I will share just because I'm embarrassed at how quiet y'all are being. You guys can unmute, I promise. This is your time. It is not our time. But I'll share. It was funny because the first thing I wrote down was self-motivated, and it has absolutely been something I have struggled with. And I am finding that it really is attached to shame. And a big part of it is the shame around feeling like, am I good at business? That's been one of the questions that I've had, just because I've had numerous leaders fade. And so I've been going, what did I do? What's wrong with me? And so you're sharing about how the negative thoughts about yourself. What I've been doing lately is just being consistent and letting that consistency in recruitment, in reach outs and follow-ups, in social media, all of that say, listen, I am good at business in this way. I might not always be super savvy with project broadcast and all the other new things I've had to learn, but I'm like, I will be consistent. And then also I loved that the 8 questions that you asked, because one of the things that really stuck out to me, especially when you're asking about like marriage, children, being a mom. And then one of the biggest ones is, how does she feel? Because what I see is that when I'm working my business from a place of desperation and fear, it is miserable. But when I am calm and present and consistent and showing up, there is this sense of true peace. And then it filters into my marriage. It filters into how I parent. It filters into the time that I spend in the morning journaling and prayer and meditation. So I would love to know from the other ladies that are on this call, I'd love to know what came up in those 8 questions that Emily asked about coffee with you as a jewel. Was there anything that came up that was either hard to answer or maybe shocked or surprised you? And you guys, please know you can unmute. I know some of you guys might be listening in at work.
So mine wasn't one from the coffee. It was when you see yourself as that person. And as funny as it is, it was the question of what is she wearing? because for me, and Becky will, and Andrea will know this, but for me in my mind, you know, you're constantly building like, who is that next level me? And my first instinct was, oh my God, like diamonds wear heels and dresses and they're like on stage. Because in my mind, I was looking at stage. When you're on stage, what do you wear? And I immediately went to, oh my gosh, they wouldn't recognize me. Like I need a t-shirt and some great jeans and some super cute sneakers. And when I wrote that down, it just like laser focused me more on now, who is that person when I'm thinking about her? So as funny as that is, it was a great question for me of like, yeah, no, I am not that version. I'm this version.
I love that. And I actually, that is one of my favorite things too, because one of the things that came out of when I first started doing this, I had this vision of like the future Emily was in really good shape, which is hilarious because I was like allergic to working out. Like I never exercised, but I was like, wait, she has like amazing arms and she's just fit. And I'm telling you, it's the weirdest thing, but when I really felt like that was the direction I was going, when I did make the shift to start exercising more, it felt like the right path. Like it wasn't something that I had to fight every morning. It was like I started to embody the future version. It was really cool. So, but having that also, I will say, the future version of yourself has to authentically be you. And that's what you were doing. You were shifting and being like, wait, that's not actually who I'm going to be when I'm a diamond. Like I'm going to be in a hoodie and, you know, sweatpants, and that's like who I am to my core. And I love that because I don't want people to like think that they need to change foundationally who they are. So good. Yeah. I love what Becky said. She worked to be a diamond so that she could wear yoga pants.
I once was on a coaching call with someone who really like, she allowed negative self-talk to just push her out of this business. And right before she did that, we were on a coaching call and I was asking her like, hey, I did some of this work with her. Tell me what it looks like when you're a diamond. And she shared, I don't think I'll ever go diamond because diamonds are wealthy, they're flashy, they spend a lot of money on their home and their clothes. And this was a very like wonderful, but just down to earth mama. And I thought, oh my gosh, you've just written a script for why you won't go there. Like you're going to self-fulfill that because you have this false idea about what a diamond looks like. And I was struggling because I was sitting on the call, like, I mean, this is just hair left over from church, but I was like, no makeup, hair in a dirty, sweaty bun. I was just kind of going, what does she think of me? If she's telling herself that diamonds are flashy and she can never, anyway, I will hush, but that was fascinating to me once with somebody.
No, but that is such good insight. Like I love when I get to like, you know, peel back the layers and hear that kind of stuff from people. Cause I'm like, that is so fascinating that you think that. And then you're like, but look at me. Do I look flashy? Like, that's interesting. So good though. Okay, let's see what people are saying. Oh, horseback riding. That's kind of fun. Oh,
I think one of the questions in those 8 that's really, I thought the second that you said marriage, I thought so many of at least the jewels on this call are going to go, yes, she needs to know what she wants that to like. For you to put that in that priority is so key. And then as a mom, like you get to show up. What's so interesting, Em, and I'd love to hear you talk about it, is the seasons of hard work getting to, like, if you had to get yourself to diamond all over again, the way you did it the first time, would you do it the same or would you do it different? Because I'm guessing if Emily sat across from Emily Diamond again, the new, you know, we get to re-enter. And so if you got to sit across from yourself and say, do it different this time, or no, be willing to sacrifice again, because there are sacrifices involved. But when you get to this point, it will look like this. Like, would you do it all over again the same way?
it's interesting. That's an interesting question because things have changed so much in Plexus. You know what I mean? I will say right now, the way I'm building my reentry team is different, but it's because I'm working at a different capacity, right? Like I was wanting this big team when I was building to Diamond. Well, now I have a big team and I actually really, I have this vision, like I have the group of women on my team that I'm like, they are diamonds, and I'm fully committed to locking arms with them, doing everything I can to bring them to that diamond space, right? So I've got that, so I can't pour the time and effort that I used to. So what I'm doing on my re-entry right now is truly quality over quantity. I'm not bringing in a bunch of people. I'm handpicking. I am getting to know a lot of women right now, and I'm deciding who is it that I really see the qualities I'm looking for, and how can I raise them into leadership. So I feel like I am building it very differently, but it's because of those dynamics, you know?
So the girl that doesn't have the team yet, would you still, like, the girl that you're going, okay, I brought her in, like she's gone silver, she's gone senior silver, we're kind of moving towards that gold position. I actually see her as a diamond for all of these qualities that I wish I, had either seen in myself, or, that I actually could handpick of someone. Like I see all these qualities. Like, do you think that there are sacrifices still necessary to build a diamond? Like, and I say sacrifices, like so many of us would say, like, we missed a,
Time investment.
Yeah. I mean, that there were just things that you were like, I can't show up for this because I'm here. I'm doing work. I'm showing up for my job, and I may not make
this is one of the things I talk about at Leadership Excellence, actually, is this idea that when you're in momentum and when you do have people that you're working with, you need to be extremely clear with your shareholders, your husband and your children. Like, hey guys, my kids know, like, mommy's going into a season. So yes, I actually do. Andrea, I have a girl that you literally just described her right now. And I am pouring a lot of time and effort into her. And I mean, it's different because it's only one right now instead of like 5, but I absolutely, when I see, and I am doing a big breakthrough coaching thing with all of those women that I was describing. So no, I right now am kind of in the throes of the season where I had to sit down with my family and say, okay, guys, momentum's coming for mommy. They know, like, that means daddy's going to be more active during bedtime routine. And, like, mommy will be a little busier. So I think that it's important that we don't sugarcoat the time and effort it takes. But I don't like the word sacrifice. I like the word time investment. Like, you have to shift gears and decide that you're going to fully invest what you need to invest to get to where you want to go. And it's when we try to talk ourselves into it's won't take that much time, or I don't want to, we get into our heads about that, then we don't show up. Because no, it takes a lot of time and effort to be a diamond, to get to that rank. Like, I don't think we can not be honest about that. Was that what you were talking about?
Yeah, no, I love these 8 questions so much. And I'm just sitting here going, what would I have told myself? Like, what do I tell my future, double diamond, whatever that looks like. But what would I have told myself, like, starting out from the beginning, knowing what I know now? Like, what would I have told that girl literally 9 years ago today, 5 days into her business? Like, okay, here's what you want to see 9 years from right now. And just what I would have told myself, what I would have believed would be funnier. Because I don't think most of y'all, if you're sitting down and actually talking to yourself 5 days into your business, would say, oh, you're going to be senior gold, you're going to be ruby, you're going to be making this much with Plexus. Because I think a lot of us wouldn't have seen this day, wherever you are in your business, you wouldn't have seen this day from 5 days in. And so I just think it's interesting to figure out where you want to see yourself, 5 years from now. Right.
I love the twist to that, Andrea, because I'm sitting here thinking, if I would have, as a silver gold ambassador, sat down with me now, I would wholeheartedly be telling her, like, it is freaking worth it. Every moment, like, there's going to be ups and downs, and it is worth it. And I almost feel like you project that in the future, she's going to be the same thing back to me now, right? Like, it is not going to be easy. There's going to be challenges, but it's going to be so worth it. I just, like, can feel the excitement. I wish I could talk to myself back then. I would be like, oh my gosh, you think you know what the word abundance means? You have no idea. Like, I would be really passionate talking to her.
But I mean, that is kind of exciting to think about what you would tell yourself from the very beginning. Like, even like, no matter your rank and your pay right now, like, you have the ability to talk to yourself right now about where you want to be a year from now and 5 years from now. And I do the same thing that Emily does. I write down how old my kids are, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh my gosh, they're in their 20s. Like, you've got this much time, but also like, where do we want our family to be? And what do I want to set up for my husband and Ella and I, so that when the boys are gone, this is what our life looks like. You know, like you start to think like, I don't want to have ignored my marriage, you know, till my kids get out of the house. I want to have been really intentional with all of those things. And, you know, I want someone else to talk. Someone unmute yourself and tell us something that has really just stood out. Go, Christy.
Christy.
I needed a minute because this like really got to me and I didn't want to like boohoo cry. So I've never done this ever. Maybe pictured myself like I know I will be emerald one day or diamond. Diamond is hard for me to imagine, but I see emerald. But I have never actually seen what that like envision that. So just, and a lot of these things, like where I'm at life, marriage is hard right now, kids, I got teenagers and health. So it's a lot of life happening and I'm maneuvering and, you know, God's showing me a lot and things like that. So this kind of really hit me to the core, but in a good way, because I've not done that before.
Yeah, you really stepped into this identity that you had never even like thought about before. Like, who is she? And did it give you any clarity on anything?
I mean, it's still me. It's still, when I'm at my best, healthiest version, I still see me, if that makes sense. You know, I wrote, shows up confidently and positively, consistent and ready to help others. Creating a legacy team, like in my head, is helping others in their own legacies, not like me, but like full of joy and glowing, shoulders back and head held up high, strong, faithful marriage. And I have 4 kids, intentional with each child, nurturing and being their encourager, daily quiet time and journaling. I exercise daily and eat to heal. Makes others feel loved, seen, and heard. And I picked a black power suit romper because that was probably with leopard earrings, because that's just me.
I love everything about that. And you have such clarity about her. Are there any, so you said that it's still you. Are there anything like any qualities about her that you're like, oh my gosh, like for me, I was always like, I'm allergic to working out. I will never work out. Like, ugh. And then I saw her and she was in shape and I was like, oh, like I had to kind of recalibrate because I see. So was there anything about her that you're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to make some shifts in my life?
Yeah, for sure. Like journaling. I had written that before you even said it. I journal big things that happen or God has shown me or stuff like that, but just a daily quiet time journaling, I don't. And I always said I wanted to do that and I still don't do it. So I think that's one thing that really keeps coming back.
You know what's helped me a lot also with journaling? I'm going to show you guys this. You literally just Google feelings wheel, but this is a wheel that has, Becky, are you laughing because you've seen this before? It's like negative emotions, and then there are more specific words to describe them. And a lot of times that's when I end up journaling, is when I'm like, whoa, what is this emotion I'm feeling? I'm like very aware of my emotions now. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to say sad. It's not really sad. It's actually more like, let me see what, like discouraged or melancholy, or maybe it's what's rejected. One that came up lately for me was the feeling of rejection. That is a really yucky feeling. But when I was able to identify what the feeling was, then I was really able to like journal through like, why is rejection coming up and what is happening here? And again, I showed my work. So really identifying a negative feeling is a great journaling exercise.
I have something I'd like to share.
Yeah.
So first of all, Christy is one of my leaders, and I am where I'm at today for a lot of different people, but she's always been pouring her belief in me, and I just look up to her so much. And yeah, so that for starters, but I think it was really, really crazy. I've enjoyed this call so much, but so Becky in the chat was like, Caitlin, I think it looks like you have something to say. And this was right before you guys started talking about, you know, talking to yourself or that one person that you might have on your team that hit, you know, that is in their beginning of their business and hit, you know, the first few ranks. And I'm a gold ambassador and I always struggle with the question of like, how are you as a leader, or what kind of leader are you? Because I really don't have that big team yet. You know, I've had those people that have signed up and maybe signed on a few people or did the biz for like a month or two, and you know, kind of maybe aren't your like ones that are super interested to continue and have that passion and want to, you know, dream of being diamond and plexus like I do. And so I struggle with that question, and I feel like I've worked through a lot of you know, negative beliefs around that and around everything really. But just continuing to I guess, how do you guys recommend to continue to build your belief as a leader when you don't really have that team yet, if that makes sense?
That's a good question. I feel like, tell me about the people who have joined you so far, because you said you've had some sharing, but they're not really, they don't see the vision, right?
Sure. So I think for my people, it hasn't really been that they don't see the vision. It's just that life happens and they're not, I don't want to say they're not willing, but life happens and it's not one of the things on their list to continue with through that. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I guess myself, like there's been a lot going on with my son's health and, you know, the busy time of year, all those things, but plexus is still on my list to show up. And even though I kind of, you know, I try to instill that belief in them and you know, why to continue to work, you know, towards these amazing things and plexus and all these things, it's kind of just been like, well, it's not on my list right now, type thing, if that makes sense.
It totally makes sense. Okay, so a couple things, you guys. I love analogies. I know we're short on time, aren't we? I love analogies. You and I know this. So I was listening to a podcast the other day. They were talking about the word overwhelm and how you have never ever sat down to a meal with food on your plate and been like, oh, I'm so overwhelmed. How do I put it all in my body? Because you know that you're going to take one bite at a time, right? Like you don't feel overwhelmed because you have the awareness that you will take one bite at a time. So we want to look at our schedules and our life the way that we do our plate of food. We just take one step at a time. But what I notice sometimes is that I just coached a girl about this the other day using this analogy. She is eating around the plexus. The plexus dish is not tasting good to her. And it's because she's in her own head about it, right? So to me, leadership is helping people desire the side dish of plexus in their life, right? Like, what can I do to make this fun and easy? Whether it is a team call or, you know, creating the community, creating the fun, or really just getting on those coaching calls with them and unpacking some stuff that helps them desire the plexus dish. Does that make sense? And a lot of that is vision casting. A lot of that is those helping them see like how healthy this dish is for them. If you continue to eat this dish, this is what your life could look like. Thanks. I'm a little over the top with my analogies. I love, but to me that just makes sense, right? So But the other part of it also is going back to the law of magnetism and you showing up as the leader that you want to have show up for you on your team. But leadership is one of my very favorite topics. But have you ever read the 21 Laws of Leadership? What is it? 21?
No, that is next on my list, and I am super excited too.
Maybe you and Christy could do it together, or like I really recommend doing it with a partner or in a group. Like, it's just such a great like bite-sized chunks of understanding leadership. So yeah, I would recommend that.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I hope that helped.
Thank you so much, Emily. I think y'all feel like y'all got more out of it as you kind of started talking and each person started talking and y'all could kind of see. I am really hoping that y'all will sit down and journal this. I think the smartest thing is to actually go ahead and put time in your calendar, whether it's right now or you're time blocking tomorrow morning, and you're actually being really intentional about this. A lot of times we'll sit down and we'll say meditation prayer. And it's like, I want you to be really intentional, like time with the Lord, like give him some, committed time, and then say time for my business, and that you sit down, or time with myself, and that you sit down. And I'm going to get that little wheel of emotions from Emily, only because I'm excited about it. We're both Enneagram 4s, and I'm like, more words to describe my emotions.
Okay, I have to give one more tip about the journaling thing that was so good for me. Is I call it conversations with Jesus, but I literally, if I'm struggling with something, I will write out a question, and then I will just take a deep breath and I will literally answer it from Jesus's perspective. Like if I were sitting, I like picture him in his robe, like chilling with me on my couch. He's like, all right, like this is like, I don't know why, but it always gives me clarity to do a conversations with Jesus. If you guys are struggling with something specifically.
I love it. I love that you picture him so specifically.
He and I are like such good
Sunday
friends.
school wall.
No, we're like buddies. Like we hang out. And so he's always got such wise insight for me.
I know that's why Becky probably has 2 chairs in her sunroom anyways, because she's probably like, okay, Lord.
Because
she's like,
hang out with me, Jesus.
Yeah. Tell me what to do here. I just think everything you said is so great. You are an incredible leader. So many people have just said under your wisdom, because you've allowed yourself to learn out loud. Do y'all see that she has like fallen and said, this doesn't work anymore. I don't work anymore. I can't continue. I can't do this because I'm not good enough. Anyone else ever like said that? And then she literally unpacked it and said, how am I going to actually be like, do this? Because I see myself here and I just don't know how to get there yet. So we're all going to follow her yacht trip when she gets to take it as a 4-star diamond, and all get like all the feels, all the things. Emily, thank you for just taking time out for our team. Thank you for your investment in yourself and then being willing to pour that out to us. We really, really appreciate it. I think you've unlocked some drawers today for people to take out some things and really examine them. And I am always grateful for you. So
thank you, friend. It was so fun. I wish I could hang out with you guys, but like, I feel like we were just getting started with the unpacking, but oh, Andrea, I miss our lunches too.
I know. Get back here. Let's have some good Mexican food and sushi.
I know. All right, guys. Thank you.
Bye,
Becky,
y'all.
good to see your face. I miss you too. Bye, guys.
Bye, y'all.